We're going to talk about a movie that, gosh, I'm really, it's too late that there's so many good movies out there, because this is a really solid movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about a movie that it fits for our kind of audience, kind of expects us to review. So I think it's a good opportunity to talk about it. Let's talk about The Order.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm the best pizza you could possibly order. Kyle Goethe from GoatFilmReviews.com.
I'm Nick from the St. Paul Filmcast. Thanks again for finding us. Thanks again for watching, and for our loyal fans, thank you for continuing to support the show. Yes, we do have a Patreon. Check that out for some great deals and great opportunities to tell us what movies we can review on future episodes. And today we're talking about a movie that just slipped in for the end of the year. The Order. What's going on, as if we didn't know.
It's not a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, in 1983, the Pacific Northwest has been riddled with bank robberies and armored car heists. Jerry Husk, stationed in a small Idaho town, comes to the realization that this is the work of domestic terrorists.
So I actually went to the theater to see this twice. I think maybe somebody sent me the screener, but I kind of missed it. But I went to the theater to see it twice. And like we talked about the previous movie, this is a second watch, makes it much more satisfying. But also, I didn't catch it the first time around. It's shot very much like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Very haunting. It's almost always feels like we're in a horror movie.
Well, Justin Kurzel, the director, has a really nice eye for intensity.
Yeah.
You know, say what you will about his Assassin's Creed movie, which I did not see, but if you look at individual shots from it, it's a very, interestingly shot film for a video game adaptation. And he also did a Macbeth adaptation.
That's right.
Really streams.
I loved it with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
That was
and
fantastic.
It's just he definitely has an eye for, let's bring the intensity home. Let's bring our characters to a place of pain, destruction. And yeah, you're right. Horror is maybe the right word for it.
It's very haunting. I mean, in the beginning of the movie, they go out in the woods in the dark. It's like we're going hunting or something. And obviously, everybody in the theater knows that's not going to transpire. Mm-hmm. But right, it's based on a true story. It's very loosely based on a true story. It takes place in the mid-'80s. Once again, we get Michael Hoult. He's been in everything I've seen recently, including the new Superman trailer.
Yeah, him between this movie and Nosferatu.
Oh, Nicholas Hoult.
And then
Is it Nicholas Hoult?
Nicholas Hoult. And he voiced John Arbuckle in the Garfield movie, which is a terrible movie, but he's not bad in it.
No, and I recommend The Juror too, which is kind of lukewarm. But his performance is once again fantastic for it. But right, him being this overly bad guy. It's not like bombastic, but it's like it's one of those things. It feels like the Joker. There's no way to negotiate him. He is set. It's cemented to his idealism.
Yeah, and to make an odd comparison,
and that's what makes it toxic to be around.
I feel like Robert Pattinson, when he got to play Batman, there was a lot of people that are like, the Twilight guy, come on. And I feel like there's movies you could watch of Robert Pattinson's that make you go, okay, he can do this. And I feel like this is a movie for Nicholas Hoult that makes you think, okay, he could play a Lex Luthor type.
Yeah.
He's not just the about-a-boy kid, all grown up. Like, he can play a Lex Luthor type. Because he's very menacing for a guy that feels like he could be pretty punchable. Right.
In the whole movie, you feel like you want to punch him in the face. Yeah. Now, to counter it is a fantastic performance by the legendary Jude Law.
I think it's his best work.
I think so too.
I'm not sure, because the weird thing about it is, we just saw Nosferatu a couple weeks ago, and who is it? The Skarsgård brother, who's behind all the makeup playing Count Orlok. Like, that's a physical transformation. I feel like his work here as Jerry,
I forget it's him.
That's exactly right. You don't know it's him, and it looks just like him. It's the way in which he holds his mouth, not just the mustache, but the mouth movements, the way in which he has that intensity. You forget it's Jude Law in the role. And
that interrogation of him, he's not going to beat him up. He's just going to get cozy with him. It's very, it's very eerie. It's almost, you almost feel like he's going to go off at some time.
Yeah. He reminded me of like a serious version of Nicholas Angel from Hot Fuzz, where like he's in the small town and stuff shouldn't be going bad. Yeah. But now he's starting to realize I'm in the middle of it.
But like starring Jude Law. Well, where are you seeing the poster? I don't see him in the poster. That's him? What? Yeah. But fantastic performance. I do like the character. It's one of those things like if he's not in the police department, he would be probably a bad guy too. Yeah. It's almost like they probably could flip both of them.
Well, or if he was kicked out and told he couldn't come back to the station because he needs to take time off, he would just ride his bike around it. Like, he would just circulate until they told him to come back in. He feels like this dedication that is at a boiling point, and he has this great juxtaposition with Ty Sheridan, who plays, who is it, Jamie Bowden?
Yeah, it is. They become almost like the young cop sidekick guy.
Yeah, which, like, again, the weird thing about this movie is I think it's just a very well-done version of a very comfortable story, because we hit a lot of familiar beats, and when they happen, you're like, oh, yeah, that's right, you got to do this in this kind of a story, don't you? Like, and a lot of that comes with that father-son role that they have.
It's not the story you tell, but how you tell it.
Yep.
Yeah. Very familiar surroundings. Not the most bombastic car scenes, but I felt it. This movie is very palpable.
Yeah.
You feel the intensity to it. I had all those emotions like, gosh, and it's gripping, it's gritty, it's messy and oily, and I love all that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely it's uncomfortably, story pace, because this is something that actually happened in America. Like, this happened at home here.
If I didn't mention it before, this did, yeah.
It's based on the 1989 nonfiction book, The Silent Brotherhood, which was about this group of people. And that's what's so frightening about the film to me, is that it leans into horror, because I think we tend to forget, because America tends to be such a powerhouse from a defense area, we tend to forget how often we have these horrible things happening within our own, countries.
Yeah. Also, I like the cinematography. I didn't put down the notes of who the cinematographer is, but
Adam Arcapa, who the big thing I saw from him is he actually shot the entire first season of True Detective, and you can see that here.
Yeah. Thank you for putting it together, because if you like the first season of True Detective, it has that very texture lens to it. Also, the angles feel nothing feels ever you feel comfortable, even when there's slow scenes. You ever feel comfortable watching this, because you're like, something's going to go bad, awry, constantly. And that's kind of what the cinematographer and director probably talking with each other.
Well, and I think a big part of that too is one of the surprises in the film, and I'm going to try and angle around spoilers if you haven't seen the film, but go see the film and come back.
Yeah. Yes.
Is the inclusion of Mark Maron's character as the disc jockey Alan Burke, who is based on a real person.
He's peppered in.
He's barely in it.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 scenes, but what happens is he's introduced to us, and then we have some time where we don't see him again, introduced back, have some time where we don't see him, and then we get the pop of, like, what happens to his character across the film in just those couple of scenes really gives us a sense of like, that horror is here, and the unpredictability of that horror.
Right. It's almost like what I call a barometer character. Once what transpires with him, that takes a hold. Now we're really serious. Yeah. It's really bad.
And I think it's because they hint at it every time we see him, but the movie makes a turn. It makes a very hard turn with the last scene that he's in.
Yeah. So wonderfully storytelling.
Yeah, I think production design was really nice on it. I felt like the editing is great, because I think it has a nice cadence to when the film closes off. It actually comes to a really great finale climax.
Very clean editing.
You understand all the people involved, and you pity people that you wouldn't normally pity.
Yeah.
And like, I think it creates the sense of, like, Justin Kurzel is not telling you who to hate. He's giving you the facts, and he's letting you realize who you hate.
Yeah. Like I always said, where is the pain in the story? And the pain is Jude Law's character of trying to get after the bad guys, his intensity of trying to cut through the red tape, and then the terrorism, trying to get their point across of they're in the right. They believe they are the heroes in their story.
Yeah. And it's so wonderful to see Jude Law getting to do a role like this again, because he's done this peppered throughout his career, but recently he's been in a lot of, like, big tentpole stuff. He's had, like, Captain Marvel. He was in the Fantastic Beasts movies. He just was on Star Wars with Skeleton Crew, the new show. So he's been doing a lot of these, like, big tentpole things. Yep. But at the same time, that means we kind of tend to forget how great of an actor he is in these more traditional kind of down-to-earth films. It reminds me a lot of Zoe Saldana and Emilia Perez, where, like, we've seen her in, like, the MCU, and we've seen her in Avatar, we've seen her in all these things. It's really nice to see when they just get down into, like, a singular film.
Yes. Yep. So I highly recommend you go see The Order.
Yeah, definitely. And then come on back. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments section. We'd love to hear about them. Have you read the book? Do you feel like the book and the film kind of have a symbiance? Let us know, because I have not read the book, but I'm fascinated to actually go and hunt it down now.
Yeah. So once again, leave a comment down below and keep the conversation going. Hit the like and subscribe button. And, of course, thanks for watching.